Hello everyone, my name is Clare Bevan and this is the World Poetry Cafe and the Family Tent, and these poems are mainly for children. So this time I've decided to have a go at some sporty poems because, well, two bad things have happened. You won't be doing your school sports day this year, which is a big shame, and also the Olympics won't be happening this year, and I was really looking forward to those. So I've got lots and lots of sporty poems for you, and I'm going to start with one that happened when my little boy was in the infant school, and he was the smallest boy in the whole of the infant school. So guess what they gave him to be the race for him? It was the sack race. And this is a story that came out of it. It's quite true. And the lady called Mrs. Thomas was the head mistress. So it goes like this. The sack race. We're here for the sack race. The short and the tall. The sack smell of summer. One size to fit all. Well, it's fine for my friends who are built like a tree, the large and the lanky. But what about me? The others shoot off with a waddle and hop, but I'm far too small to see over the top. Then kind Mrs. Thomas lifts me and my sack, and we bounce off together to follow the pack. Well, we don't win a prize. Well, we cheated, you see, but we make a great team, Mrs. Thomas and me. And that was quite true, and they got a very big clap at the end. Right, the next one is a teacher himself, and he's called the Rugby Teacher. Now, if you've seen any of the gentlemen particularly who play rugby, they're very big and brave and bold and very, very strong. But these days, actually, girls can play rugby too. So I'm just going to show you a picture that came with this poem. And a very nice gentleman did that fantastic picture for me, and you can see he's a mighty man, isn't he? He's a bit like King Kong. So this is the poem. The Rugby Teacher's Holiday. His muscles bulge inside his shirt. He charges through the mud and dirt, ignoring gale and hail and hurt. He's more a giant than a man. He drives a roaring rusty van. He wears tattoos beneath his tan, and scars across his broken nose, and massive boots with metal toes. It's just as well that no one knows. When August comes with summer showers, he takes a break from superpowers and sits indoors and presses flowers. And if you haven't tried that yourself, try putting a flower underneath a big heavy book and see what happens. Now, this one, I'm going to put my nice scarf on because I'm there lining with all the other parents and hoping that our rugby team will win. And I'm particularly hoping that they don't get too muddy because I'm going to have to wash it. So it goes like this. Mum's rugby match moan. The awful mess, the squelch, the stress as boots begin to pound. The awful mud, the thump, the thud of bodies on the ground. The thumps and noise of girls v boys. The awful stone cold tea. The awful lunges, the pain, the plunges, the crunch of nose and knee. The awful scrum, complains my mum. But she's awfully proud of me. I'm sure your mum is the same if she goes to a match that you're in. So, when I was a young girl, I was at a big girls' school, and we were up in the secondary school then, and we had to play hockey. Now, I'm not much bigger than I was when I was 11, and I couldn't keep up with the other girls. I was hopeless, and I was terrified of the ball and the awful heavy stick that you've got to whack about, and in the end they put me in goal, and that again was not a good idea, because you had to wear great big sort of pads on your legs, which were far too big for me, so I couldn't bend my knees, and you had to have a special big leather sort of a shoe that went on top of your shoes, which meant I could just hobble about a bit. And so this is for anybody who's ever had to be a goalie. And it goes like this. To a fellow sufferer. Have you ever been a goalie when the goalposts seem too tall, when the other girls are 6'3" and you feel very small? When the herd is charging at you and you're shivering with fear, when sticks and arms are flying and the ball slides past your ear? Have you ever been a goalie when your heart begins to pound, when the ball is like a lump of mud and your foot stuck in the ground? When the crowd is in a frenzy and you panic and you thrust, and then a stick removes your kicker and your team must bite the dust? Have you ever been a goalie when the wind begins to tease, when it whistles round the netting and it plays around your knees, when your scarf wraps around your ankles and your pads are far too high, and then a half appears from nowhere and a clod lands in your eye? If you've ever been a goalie when your side is losing hope, when your hair is clogged and soggy and you almost wish for soap, if you've ever been a goalie and you've borne it to the end, then I hail you as a hero and a miracle, my friend. And I wish more boys did hockey. It's really exciting. It's brilliant to watch. Not so good for a goalie though. Now, I've put on this page, life can be tough for a football goalie too. So I went to see, we have a little nephew, and we went to see him with his football match, and I felt very sorry for the goalie, who was quite small, and so it goes like this. The goal post blues. I'm the goalie, help, help, on my own, yelp, yelp, here they come, tramp, tramp, massive boots, stamp, stamp, massive heads, bump, bump, massive chests, crump, thump, studded boots, thud, scud, throwing up, mud, mud, try to duck, muck, oh yuck, absolutely stuck, stuck, try to dive, oh fall, crawl, swipe the wet ball, ball, quite by chance, save, save, watch the crowd, wave, rave, whistle blows, whew, wee, who's the star? Me, me. Sometimes it all goes right, doesn't it? Not always, but sometimes. And now this one is about your school team, and I like school teams because the children all come from the same school and you really know who you're shouting for. I think that's better than all the rich and wonderful great big matches they do at Wembley and places. And so our school team. Our school team got together, whatever the weather. So we played in the shade, we grizzled when it drizzled, we blundered when it thundered, we stumbled when it rumbled, we failed when it hailed, we lost in the frost, lost again in the rain, couldn't flow in the snow, faced our doom in the gloom. But we scored when it thawed, and we drew when it blew, and we won in the sun. sometimes, yeah, it does go well. And now I'm going to go over to a few pages, and first of all, I've got somebody that you might have in your family who takes all this stuff terribly seriously. So now we're indoors, and it's the TV room, and this is called a final warning. Don't go into the TV room, don't peep round the door. The air is thick and fusty, the mood is dark as war. The gloom is deep as midnight, it swirls around the chairs, it wraps around your ankles to snatch you unawares. You'll slump against the cushions, you'll groan and grasp your ears. You'll watch the screen in anguish through fingers damp with tears. You'll lose your grip, your temper, your wits, your self-control. And all because our superstar has missed an open goal. Oh dear. We've watched a few matches like that. But now I come to the sort of silly bit, because I love putting animals into my poems, and this one is called Foul Play. Now I'm going to show you two spellings of the same word. Now the first one is F-O-U-L, foul. Something nasty has happened. Maybe somebody cheated very badly. But there's another way to spell it, which is F-O-W-L. And some of you out there will know about this, especially if you've been watching Springwatch, because birds like geese and ducks, farmyard birds, are called fowl with a W. And a little while ago, we used to have chickens next door. They are also fowl. And these particular chickens, well, when they were laying an egg, I can't tell you how rude their squawking was. Usually they would be, but when there was an egg coming out, it was, and really quite terrifying. I don't know what they were saying, but it wasn't very nice. So I thought I would put the roosters, well, that's the cockerel, you know, I like calling them roosters. The roosters, the boy ones, I thought I'd put them into their own football match. And it goes like this. Foul play. But when I get to the very end, I'm going to hold this up, and the last line you have to say, the other bird squawked, foul! So be ready for foul. The roosters chanted, rah, rah, rah. The other team, we'll wreck 'em. We're the kings of feathered things, and we've got David Peckham. Yay! They tackled hens, they trampled wrens, they pulverised an owl. But when they cackled, we're the champs, the other birds squawked, foul! They're a rotten lot, weren't they? Can't trample on a wren, poor little chap. Right, so over we go, and we're going to change the mood a little bit. And oh, the other thing that got cancelled this year was the London Marathon, and we love watching it. We love the really brilliant runners, but we also love all the daft costumes. And if any of you have been doing Keep Fit with Joe, you'll know how hot a panda suit can be. So this one's called The Last Man in the Marathon. The last man in the marathon, he crawled across the line. His only claim to glory was a record longest time. He wore a fluffy panda suit. He clutched a bin of money. Now, that's not the wisest strategy when summer skies are sunny. He chatted with the cheering crowds. He stopped for cups of tea. He held a massive placard saying, "Hello, Mum, it's me." The other runners raced away in skimpy shorts and vest in search of fame and glory as the swiftest and the best. Yet, when their winning photographs have faded in the past, the hero we'll remember is the man who came in last. There was a wonderful one last year, wasn't there? Dressed up as Big Ben. I loved that one. Right, now we're on to the Olympics, and I've tried to put an alphabet of sports with everything I could possibly think of, and so this is the Olympic alphabet, and I was longing to watch it. Never mind, next year. A is the athlete in swift, spiky shoes. B is the baton, don't drop it, you'll lose. C is the coach who gives vital advice. D is the diver who somersaults twice. E this one, but you have to sort of say A. A is the epee that slices the air. F is the flame. Will it fizzle or flare? G is the gymnast who spins on the beam. H is the horse leaping hurdle and stream. I is the ice rink where skaters skim round. J is the javelin jabbing the ground. K is the kick-off when games are begun. L is the long jump. That sandpit looks fun. M is the medal that's hip hip parade. N is the national anthem, well played. O is the outside, a lane no one chooses. P is the pole that the high jumper uses. Q is the quickest, a winner, no doubt. R is the ref who must whistle and shout. S is the swimmer, as sleek as a seal. T is the triumph that superstars feel. U is the unicorn, worn with great pride. V is the velodrome, steep as a slide. W is the weightlifter, watched with respect. X is the excellence experts expect. Y is the yacht with its sails, salty white, and Z is the zoom of the fireworks. Good night. And that strange one at the beginning, the epee, that's a special sword for fencing with. Right, now, I was always a bit puzzled about the 5 circles. There are 5 circles and they're all on the flag. So I just called this one 5 circles and a flag. And they're to do with all our continents. So, that's all the big land masses like Europe and the Americas and Africa and Asia and all of those. So 5 circles and a flag. 1 circle's fiery red, as friendly as a flame. 1 circle's summer green, as joyful as a game. 1 circle's glossy black, as magical as fame. 1 circle's desert bright, as yellow as the sands. 1 circle's blue as seas that link our far off lands. And 1 flag brings all of us together, holding hands. Which is always lovely, particularly at the closing ceremony when everybody gets together and you'll be looking at this, I hope. This is not a necklace, this is my regalia as a referee. And when I was a teacher at school, this is my Acme Thunderer, which still works well. But this one is called The Song of the Sad Referee. Oh dear me, my whistle's lost its pee, so even though I puff and blow, it just goes. Oh, I'm very sad for that referee. He's worked very hard to do it all right. Now, I did mention that when my son was young, he was quite small, and we all decided it might be fun for him to have a go at judo, just in case somebody ever bullied him. But usually he was quite funny, so not many people did. So this is a funny one. It's called a triolet, and the little rhymes keep popping up. So it goes, judo team, triolet. I was in the judo team when we won the silver trophy. You may think it all a dream, fighting in the judo team. Just a foolish, far-off scheme for a skinny girl called Sophie. But here's a photo of my team when we won the silver trophy. It's nearly as good as the gold, isn't it? Right, this one is an awfully lot like me. I used to try and do things in the gym, and I used to run up to the big, horse thing you're supposed to leap onto and leap off, and I would just squeak, really. So this is called drastic gymnastics. I saw coloured stars when I fell off the bars. My elbows are 2 purple lumps. My nose went all flat when I tripped on the mat, and I've given up counting the bumps. I tried not to scream when I slipped off the beam. The bruise makes it tricky to sit. But despite all the pain, I shall bounce back again. How else am I meant to keep fit? Oh, I'm quite sorry for her. And now we're going to zoom on because we're whipping along here, and I've already mentioned I like putting animals into my matches and things, so we've got one here which is called the Ark Olympics, and it goes like this. Well, after 30, what I meant to say at the beginning was, the Ark connects, doesn't it, with all those rainbows you've been doing. So I suppose in a way this is a rainbow poem for all of you who've painted rainbows and the Ark Olympics. Well, after 30 days afloat, the animals got bored. The Ark just bobbed about all day while creatures snoozed and snored. We need a little something to amuse it, someone roared. But Noah, being clever, was ahead of them, and so he launched the Ark Olympics with a mighty whistle blow, while Mrs. Noah flapped her flag and shouted, "Off you go!" The first race was the marathon, around and round the deck. A wrinkled rhino took the lead, although he looked a wreck, but then a small giraffe whizzed by and beat him by a neck. The next event was high jump, which was fun for frogs and fleas, and also bouncy kangaroos who won their heat with ease, while both the desert camels grabbed the gold for knobbly knees. Hide and seek was battled out by squirrels, mice and moles who liked to squirm down tunnels or to bury stuff in holes. The woodlice were delighted with their prize for forward rolls. The spiders won the bungee drop with style and speed, of course. The tail-swishing medal went to Dobbin, Noah's horse. And a most annoying parrot won sweet singing. What a sauce! The zebras and the tigers shared the prize for posh pyjamas. 2 snakes inside a basket swiped the world's most slinky charmers, and long-distance spitting was a triumph for the llamas. The elephants, I'm glad to say, were best at lifting weights, and all the monkeys earned gold stars for juggling with plates. An octopus, just visiting, won adding up in 8s. By supper time, the animals were ready for their beds. They snuggled in their nests and nooks and leaky wooden sheds. And Mr. Noah winked his eye and, "Well done me," he said. Can you picture him with his great big beard? I hope so. I just remembered that I think I forgot to put another sport in, and it's cricket. And I know now that it's the summertime, and this is when my neighbours are crazy about cricket. And I thought I'd make up another one with animals in it. Now, last year in our garden, we had a wonderful cricket, and that cricket is a sort of grasshopper. So I thought cricket Grasshopper. Yeah, let's make it that the cricket is called cricket because a cricket invented it. And so this is called the test match. And this is really a test match because they were going to try it off for the very first time. So the test match. A cricket, quite frisky and small, said, "I never have much fun at all. I need a new sport of the knockabout sport with a pitch and a bat and a ball." He chirped in the grasses, "Let's say we'll meet at the end of the day. So bounce swiftly over this field full of clover and let's find a game we can play." There were beetles and bee teams galore, plus midges and moths, more and more, some hip-hopping fleas, a duck out to please, and soldier ants ready for war. They all chose a test match to try with a boundary deep, wide and high. Then a bat in a flap, open play with a slap, and a cherry stone flew through the sky. That would make quite a good ball, wouldn't it? The rules were improved after that. A twig took the place of the bat. There were stumps made from straw. Tiny flies kept the score, while the umpire, a spider, grew fat. So, if you're a cricket pitch fan, that's the way your obsession began, with a thwack and a call and a fast spinning ball and an insect. How's that for a plan? And I put a little note at the end. You've probably guessed that because the insects have got 6 legs, that's why sixes keep coming up in games of cricket. But they did have a lot of trouble with all those legs before the wicket. And there's a duck, I'm afraid, but he was completely useless. And oh yes, so those of you who don't know much about cricket, if you go out with a duck, that means you didn't score at all. You were pretty hopeless. Right, so I've now got just my very last few poems to do, and so we'll get rid of the rugby teacher, and in here I've got to put a silly hat on, haven't I? So I'm sure last time some of you had the Storyland sprint, and when Christmas came along a couple of years ago, I thought, why don't I have a sort of Storyland sprint but for all the Christmas characters? So see how many you can count in this one, and it's called the Christmas Grotto Games, and I'm enthusiastically reporting it very quickly because I'm so excited about the whole thing. And they're all lining up for the grand final. Santa's adjusting his new spiky boots, plain black as usual, ideal for very steep chimneys. The gnomes are still puffing after a training run with a polar bear. The snowmen are adjusting their noses, no wobbly carrots allowed. And the safety elf is searching the reindeer for go faster spells. Meanwhile, the penguins are warming up with a spot of egg juggling. Rudolph is flashing his nose, that can't be legal. And the Grotto elf, wearing soggy green slippers, doesn't have a hope. The last few contestants are arriving just in time. The fairy's at the top of her twinkly tree. She's waving her wand and they are off. The penguins have fallen at the first fence. The chief snowman has tripped over his own scarf and the elf, as expected, has limped back to bed. But the gnomes, running in relays, have whizzed around the igloo. They've overtaken Prancer and Dancer, who probably ate too many mince pies. Here comes the polar bear, looking dangerous. He's already crossed the glacier in record time, and he's only just behind Rudolph, who is simply flying along. It's neck and antler. Only old Santa can overtake them now. They've reached the last obstacle, a rather tempting stocking entirely filled with sweets. The gnomes can't resist. Rudolph and Santa are sharing the toffees, and the bear is chewing a chocolate mouse. But wait, who is this clopping past the pack and clanging her bell, ding dong. Is it? Can it be? Yes, it's Daisy, the pantomime cow, winning Santa's sack of super surprises. And that, my friends, is what I call an utterly happy ending. And now a very quick happy ending for all of you who perhaps aren't quite good at winning. And this one is called A Sporting Supporter. Every sport needs winners, but it needs its losers too. That's why we're both important. Me, of course, and you. You can catch and throw and race and balance on the beam. I can only drop and trip and fool around and dream. Today, you'll win the medals and the fame, that's why you're here. But I can play my part as well. I'll make the loudest cheer. I'm sure all of you are jolly good sports, and maybe if you look on your computers you might be able to track down some of the fantastic sporty books there are lurking around, and you might find me inside them. So thank you very much for listening. Go home, invent a silly sport, or pretend to be a chicken, whatever you like best. Thank you very much.